The world's best chocolate gluten-free cake. As we all know, it's hard to find really good gluten-free baked goods. I found a chef that I follow online. Her name is Chef Alina, Alina. She has tons of free recipes online. I actually subscribe to her cooking classes, but this is one of her free recipes online. It's the chocolate cake. So I'm going to show you how it's done. The best thing to do in gluten-free baking, actually in all baking, I guess, is to actually weigh your ingredients out. Use a kitchen scale because not everybody measures a cup the same way, but with weight, you're always going to be the same. So let's get started. I personally like cup for cup gluten-free flour. I don't like any of the nut flours, and I think it's mainly because my son, who doesn't live at home anymore, but he has a nut allergy, so I just kind of shy away from that. So we're gonna do 236 grams of gluten-free flour. We have our flour in there. One thing I like to do, a lot of people will weigh it out separately. I do that sometimes, but a lot of times I'll just reset the scale like this, and now it wants 400 grams of sugar. So I would say, especially if you're new to weighing your ingredients, I would weigh them out separately, put them in, because then you kind of get used to how the scale works. Next, it wants 84 grams of Dutch cocoa powder. So with the cocoa powder, I am going to weigh it out by itself because it's not as much. I love this cocoa powder. I think it's just amazing. It's really good. So this is the one I like to use. Man, I got right on the money with that one. So it is a lot of cocoa powder, you see, but we're going to actually end up mixing all of our dry ingredients together. We're going to whisk them all together. Then we will add all our wet ingredients to it. Next, you're going to do a half teaspoon of baking powder, a half teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt. So here's the ingredients for you if you want to screenshot that real quick. So it was actually 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of salt. I read that wrong. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna whisk this all nice together, and then we're gonna set it to the side while we get the wet ingredients ready. The wet ingredients consist of milk, eggs, oil, vanilla, and you could either use boiling water or hot coffee. I like hot coffee because I feel like the coffee helps the richness of the chocolate come out. So generally with gluten-free baking, something that I've learned is that you want to let your batter sit for at least 30 minutes so it's not grainy. With this cake batter, however, I'm actually going to make cupcakes with it for a friend's birthday, but with this cake batter, I always let it sit overnight. It just really helps the coffee add to the richness of the flavor. So I'm a little bit bougie with my coffee. I have my hot water here, and it's 224 grams of hot coffee. So I'm just going to measure it out here and let it brew. Always trying to get right on the line. Close enough. So I did pull out the big mixer because it's going to be a lot easier to mix that way. I love my KitchenAid mixer. So with my liquids, I usually do measure them separately because you can't really just take a spoonful of oil out if you've added it to your milk. So for our milk, we want 224 grams. So you're gonna have to mix, look at that, I got milk on there. You're gonna have to mix your milk and oil and eggs together in a cup. So that's why I'm using this really big measuring cup, but I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. So I did just mix my eggs in there, and I'm gonna also drop my vanilla in because they're not by weight. So hopefully I have a teaspoon of my homemade vanilla left. If not, I have a bunch brewing, but it's not quite ready. And I was wrong. It's a tablespoon of vanilla, but look at that. I had just enough vanilla. I love homemade vanilla. When it comes to the oil, we only need 113 grams of oil, so it's not that much. So I can use one of these little cups to just measure it in there. It's a lot of oil, but it's not a lot in aspect of the size of this container. So sometimes, I mean, it took a while to get used to using the scale for baking, I will admit. I mean, we're getting there. I do have a spoon out in case I go over. Look at that, like, come on, man. There we go. Perfect. All right, it had me whisk everything together. Now I'm just going to slowly pour it in here. Slowly pour it in here pretty evenly. We don't add, oh, see, my one egg yolk was still pretty whole, but it'll get mixed up. I'm not too worried about it. The mixer's amazing. Mixer can be kind of loud, so hopefully it doesn't get too loud. Let it go on low at first so I don't splash powder everywhere. And then I get myself a spatula so I can actually break down the sides. Look at that. So just scrape it down a couple times. Then I'm gonna pour in my hot coffee. So it just smells amazing. The cocoa smell, it's so chocolatey. This is like the most moist chocolatey cake I've ever had. Even my friends that can eat gluten absolutely love this cake. So it's not like it's only a gluten-free person's cake at all by any means or any stretch of the imagination. I like this bigger mixing bowl too. I got the 7 or 8 quart. I can't remember. I think it's a 7 quart. Just because I really like baking, and the 5 quart will get kind of small at times. So let me go finish up my coffee and then we'll add that in. Now we're gonna slowly drizzle in our coffee. Kind of lower speed. I just made the coffee in a cup. I'm gonna pour half of it on the counter, obviously. It'll still be good even though I spilled a bunch of it. So if you notice, it looks really runny. It'll thicken up. And then I'll scrape down the side. So after this is done, I'm gonna cover this with some, it's gonna go in the fridge until tomorrow. So we will be back tomorrow to go through the final stages of this. All right, back to finish up our cupcakes. So here's the batter. It sat overnight. It's really thick. And I don't know if it's a Gen X in me or what, but I decided to do her crumble cookie class. Those are peanut butter cookies. They're so nice and big and delicious looking. I'll let you know how those taste after. But I'm gonna fill up the cakes and then we're gonna bake them at 375 for about 15 minutes. I'm gonna fill the cup up with my hand and scooper. So I think I overfilled them a little bit, but we'll see. 15 minutes. So I thought I filled them a little full, but I did not. They are like perfectly to the top. Now we gotta let them cool in the pan for 10 minutes, then let them cool completely on the rack, and we made up some cookies and cream frosting for them. All right, so I had some frosting faux pas. I did a cookie and cream frosting, and cookie pieces were a little large, got stuck. So I finished it up with some of this other frosting. That frosting I'd used for my loft house type cookies that are also gluten-free. I'm gonna cut into a muffin so you can see how nice and yummy it is. Don't mind me, it's been a long day. All right, so I said cut into a muffin. Cupcake is what I meant. It's chocolate cake, but I'm calling them muffins right now. So when you open it up, look at the consistency of that. It's nice and soft and fluffy, like real cake. I mean, it is real cake, but it's gluten-free cake. It tastes amazing. So